Welcome to Haunt Topic Radio, the podcast for haunters by haunters. These are our scary visions.
And I want to open a haunt. I want to do it safely, legally, and there's ways to do that. So a little bit about me there. There's my character. That's Dr. Terrorize. That was probably my last version with the speaker and the microphone and the bird and the hair and the needles and all the gizmos and
And that
lights.
bird moved to you, right?
Yeah. The bird was robotic. I had a remote control in my left hand that moves the bird up, left, down, right, all that, and it's fun. And my eyes would blink and such, and fun costume. A little bit bothersome to put on, but great.
Great detail.
Thanks. So yeah, a little bit about me again. Been doing this for a couple years. I had haunts and things, and I've been a presenter, and I've created costumes and props. I've sold props. I've sold them for some pretty good money sometimes, and electric chairs and skeletons on crosses and things too. This is an example of one of my corpsings. It's just of a skull corpse class I did, and those are eyeballs that are lighted on the inside with LEDs. They blink, they flash, they're programmed. And that's a heavy duty skull. That's not the little typical thin skull. That's a heavy one. That one weighs probably about 5 pounds. So anyway, that was just one of my fun things. So I'm here to really help you guys. I want to expand your knowledge as to haunting. There are options out there for having a safe haunt, and there's ideas I want to give you and examples of what I've done and what's out there. I'll give you the resources at the end in the handout, and there's probably 30 links, I think, plus the handouts and all kinds of fun stuff for you. So I people come to me and go, well, why would I even care about listening to this dopey little, well, the reason that you're going to listen to it is because one, in your haunt, you've got to be safe, not safe just for you, but for the visitors, the patrons that come to a haunt. And you have to understand that in a properly run haunt, there's safety aspects that you have to know that the fire marshal has said, and everybody has to be trained in that. Okay. If you keep your farm, number one point, you keep the fire marshal happy, you'll be happy and you'll stay open. And if you stay open, you'll make some money, right? That's the point. So money is always good. So some of the subjects I'll go over tonight are going to be about the types of haunts, a little bit of the history of haunts and how we got here in the haunted attraction industry. I want to also talk about why this course is so timely for us all. And you're going to have concerns that make sense on some of these things. Some of this stuff is going to be boring. Yeah, I know, but we're moving through the legal aspects of this so you grasp at least an understanding of what's going on. There's going to be some requirements for your haunt. You'll understand that. The NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association. If you don't know it, you're going to know it when I'm done. There's also security we'll talk about at the end, and I'll give you the resource list again. That'll help everybody understand this a little better. Sorry, my clicking on my keyboard is kind of noisy.
No.
So here's, I mean, my paperwork has got a way more. This is just the tip of the iceberg, folks. So don't think this is all the information. You'll get pages of information. But we talk about the main haunts. Okay, we've got stuff in Orlando. Okay, we got Scream Parks, and then we've got commercial haunts that benefit other people. Those are the ones that you're raising money as a benefit for a certain cause. Then there are people that have the haunts that they're a Ford dealership down the road. They're like, hey, you know what? Let's sponsor you, and we're gonna have Ford stickers everywhere. Oh, okay, we'll do something with that. And I've seen that done before. Nonprofits, I think we're all familiar with JCs, Freemasonry. There's different organizations that have those haunts, and some of us work at those haunts. I think Ed used to have one out in that the Davises worked with that was for kids that couldn't hear, auditory kids.
Hmm.
And also under haunt types, we all know about rides, dark rides, hay rides, train rides. Train rides specifically, do you know about the Kirby family farm here? They've got an awesome train ride. It's supposed to be the same train as Disney has. And you ride on
Hmm.
this thing and you get scared. And it's a mile long ride. Crazy stuff. So there's also drive-through haunts. I don't hear a whole lot about them anymore, but I know we did during COVID. Everybody had a drive-through haunt. Zombie paintballs, I haven't done that myself. I've seen tons of it at IAPA. They had some there, but at the national, I mean the Jen's big shows, they've got paintball zombie trucks and tow behinds. And what I think we all started as a home haunter possibly, and that doesn't really apply to all this, but if you understand where this whole thing encapsulates, it'll even affect the home haunter or the yard haunter. So we're all here for the same thing, right? We all want to do this. We all want to frighten somebody, give them a good scare. And that's what we all have in common. We all wear black shirts. Okay, fine. Well, some of us. Someone had, I Brian's got a blue uh, hoodie on. But
Most of
anyway,
the time, though. Most of the time.
yeah, yeah, black jeans and
Hmm.
black shirts. Oh, do you have anything else? Not really. I got tons of black shirts. But anyway, but we're all, besides the black t-shirts, we're all here to talk about why why we do what we do. You know, I'm not going to talk about this. Not going to talk about financing, attraction design. Leonard is for that, managing crowd flow, how to buy props. Okay, you go to a trade show and you haggle. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about prices. Oh my gosh, there's so many companies that do that now. Or hiring. I think you guys have a nice little thing on that. Training, yeah, there's plenty of people that do that. And marketing and social media. Oh my gosh, no, that's not my thing. I'm not going to even go there. But let's talk about statistics for 2 seconds. How many people go out to do haunts? About 33 million people in the U.S. every year during hunt season. How many millions? 300 to 500, depending on the source you use. And on average, it's around 8,000 visitors in a season to a paid haunt. Home haunt, you might have 150 kids or 1,000 people. Okay. Different thing, different scenario. But you see where the 8,000 comes in. And the 8,000, if you bring money into that, okay, and other toys, other things like Scarlet badges. Ooh, did I do a plug? That
Ching.
yeah, let's get the little tally there. Well, where's my shot glass? Wait a minute, I got to do a shot every
Take
time
a
I
shot.
say Scarlet. I didn't really take a shot. Anyway, so everybody okay so far? All right, so here
On
we go.
track.
All right, so let's.
This podcast episode sponsored by Scarlet Badges.
We always were looking for ideas to get those actors to take it to the next level. I really want to do something that they can use more than just a meal, or they can use more than just a that a boy, that a girl. They love this stuff, but it's not really promoting a haunter. And then I sit down, Scarlet Badges comes out. That's when I realized this is amazing, because not only is it giving them an attaboy, but it's also promoting them all year round. And to promote somebody, to give somebody accolades all year round and have them be able to wear it on their shoulder with pride means a lot. This right here says this is who nailed it on this day in this year for the rest of their life, for the rest of their haunting life. And that's what I really love about this product, is you're able to give haunting to somebody an attaboy 365 days a year. And that's, so hats off to you guys. I think this is a great product, and I wish you the best of luck because it's awesome.
Get your Scare Badges at scarebadges.com.
2 seconds. Let's spend them on the history of haunted attractions. They started out in 1802, not in the United States, but in London, the Chamber of Horrors. That was a wax museum. Ooh, okay, French
Mm.
Revolutionary War. That was beheadings and guillotines and all that. But that's where it started, 1802, not in the United States. And then we go a little bit further in England again, 1915. That was the Ghost House ride. And in that haunt, that attraction, they were starting back then. It was the first time they're using mechanized or animated props and rides. So that's really kind of the start of the big guns, the big rides, the dark rides, and the animated haunts and the animated props we see. So here is why we're all here. It's because of safety. Well, what's so big about safety? If you know anything about this, you know about the haunted castle, raise your hand. I know everybody's probably heard about it. If you haven't, I got tons of links in my information later on to this. It was a fire that was started And they used to, this is back in the day, and I'm not going to point fingers or name names, but the people that had this had 17 trailers hooked up in a kind of an H formation kind of, and someone walked in there, a young guy with a lighter because it was dark, and he supposedly bumped into a foam wall. Well, that foam wall caught fire, caused asphyxiation, burned people. The whole blaze killed it killed 8 people, 8 young teenagers, injured, I think, 11 or 9 or 11 people. And it was because there were insufficient safety measures. They were missing permits, smoke detectors, all the stuff. Exit signs were all messed up. And this all came out in a hearing. I know so much about this, and I feel very strongly about it because a patient of mine a number of years ago happened to be talking to me about Halloween. I told him about the stuff I was doing, and he said, "Oh, yeah, I know all about that." And I'm like, "What do you do?" He was one of the investigators. He was one of the chief investigators for this event,
Mm.
and he talked a little bit about it. And it's kind of sickening, but it's saddening too. But you see, there's changes that have been made since then, since these deaths. Uh, John was a patient of mine, great guy, and we talked probably about an hour or maybe 2 hours about this on and off over the years. So anyway, so that whole thing caused nationwide changes and got us regulations, new safety systems, and it brought this thing to fruition and brought it to a head in our industry. Now we all know, okay, we've got to be safe. And here's why we got to make the fire marshals happy, because if you don't, you're never going to open your doors, folks, or he'll shut you down. And here's our friend. Anyway, I found that one is just too funny. All right, so the NFPA. I don't know if anyone's heard of the National Fire Protection Association, but they are a nonprofit organization here in the U.S. that everybody bases all their standards on in the USA, even globally, because it's so stringent, but it saves lives. So let's talk about the NFPA. They A quick acronym I kind of put together, which is the SAFE acronym, is some of the requirements they require of every haunt, even escape rooms or dark rides. You have to have smoke detectors, automatic sprinklers, fire alarms, makes sense, and emergency lighting. And we'll go into that in a little bit more why. Also, some of the other requirements, but on a lesser scale, I think, are exit signs. Okay, yeah. But if you're burning, you have to know where to go. Evacuation plans, extinguishers. There are requirements for flame retardant materials, and I'll tell you about that in a second because I didn't know some of this until I looked into the code book. And there are prohibited items you can't have in a haunt. Every state's different. I'll let you know why. So the NFPA's code is for haunted attractions. So if you a haunted attraction or haunted house is is defined under a special amusement building. So if you do these things, you're stuck under a special amusement building. If you let people go in, they walk in, you guide them, they take a ride. There's no apparent exit where they can go, oh, there's the exit on the other end, and I'll walk straight through. That's not what we do in haunting. So that's why a special amusement building, you'll see in a second here how it all makes sense. Um, and we hide exits. Our thing is you make the exit maybe off where they can't see, so that brings a sense of, uh-oh, where do I go next? And that's what we want. We want to scare people or frighten them. So if you're like Jeff Foxer used to say back in the day, if you, yeah. Anyway,
You might
does
be
your
a
layout
hunter if.
obscure? What's that?
You might be a
Right.
hunter if.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
might. Yeah, that's right. You might be a hunter. So if your layout obscures the exit path, you have visual and auditory distractions. So you got noise going on, you got lights flashing, you got it really dark, really bright. Uh, if you make your exits kind of hidden, well, that one's around the corner and down that way, and you find that they're not really accessible, like, I can get to that exit easily, then you might be a haunt. If you're a haunt, you're classified under one of three things. You're going to be either, this is for the NFPA, you're either going to be a haunted house, escape room, or dark ride. That's what special amusement buildings fall under. It makes sense. We've got this big classification, and if you do these things like we had on the other page, and you guide people, and it's dark, and you can't see the exits, then you're going to be one of those three things. You're going to be a dark ride, and a dark ride. I think we all know at fairs. I don't know any dark rides that aren't in a fair setting, but we'll move on. All right. So in the NFPA's the one handbook, they have a section, the 20.14. Uh, and it's again, for a haunt, which you're a special amusement building, and your haunt has to do these things. Otherwise, you don't fall under the guidelines of the NFPA's, things you have to do. And guess what your fire marshal's doing? He's got the book. He knows this stuff. So if you don't play ball, you're going to get stuck. And I'll tell you about that in a second. And an assembly occupancy, a lot of people don't understand this, but an assembly occupancy, you just think of a church, an assembly in a church. A bunch of people go there and it's got to be open and they have to have ways out and be safe. And assembly occupancy is what a haunt will fall under because people go there usually in groups and they're guided through or they walk through or they ride through. And that's what assembly occupancy is. So it's another kind of a name or term for a special amusement building. Just just know that because you'll see it every once in a while from a fire inspector or a fire marshal. So you have to have, so if you're going to be a haunt, you operate a haunt or a dark ride, you have to do these things. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You won't get open. You have to have a sprinkler system, automatic one, except if you've got like a little, under 10-foot tall and a weeny little 160 square foot footprint. That's like a 10 by 16 room. That's pretty small. So yeah, they let you away with that. They're like, okay, you don't need to have a mandatory sprinkler system. And a structure, not just your ceiling, the entire structure is under 10 feet. So if you have anything bigger than that, which most of us have got a roof, you're going to have a sprinkler system. And portable haunts can have that too, but it's got to be in a way that the water is accessible with the automatic sprinkler. And it's a little rough, but it can be done. So you also have to have a smoke detection system. That's right. Everywhere in the haunt, and your fire marshal will tell you where it's got to be located. Even a portable haunt has to have it. And you have to have somebody manning the one in a portable haunt. Okay. You don't have to necessarily have someone sitting there hunched over the button in a other haunt, in a real a permanent haunt, not a real haunt, but so in a permanent installation, you got to have must. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's must. Got to be triggered by. It's like a group thing. If the smoke detector goes off, the sprinklers go off. If the fire alarms go off, and someone can sit there and manually run this thing, but they have to at least supervise what's going on. So in your haunt, you need to have someone dedicated to being a safety marshal or whatever you want to call them. You can have a Scarab badge. Is there a Scarab badge for that? I don't know. Is there one for Brian? Is there a Scarab badge for haunt protector?
No, there will be
Yes, he's
now.
nodding his head. No, but there should be.
Let's write
Yes.
this down.
Hint, hint. Anyway, so write that down. Where's that note?
Yeah.
Anyway, so someone's got to be responsible, and it can't be the guy who's getting high out back or the guy who's sipping his booze in the other room over there. It's got to be someone who's got to be on the point, and I was one of those guys back in the day. I was the man. Anyway, so all these forms you'll see later on, and that's all me. They're all things I created and used with the fire marshal, and I'd be glad to share them. So when you activate one of those systems, when there's something going on, all the stuff needs to happen. When they push a button or there's a smoke alarm going off, the lights go up, boom, kills the sound, stops it, stops the fog machines. If you got a ride where it's a dark ride and everyone's sitting in the chairs and all that, okay, everything stops, and then you have to escort them out. A different thing. Everybody grabs a flashlight and you're okay, follow me. That's a different scenario. But you've got to do these things when you activate a fire alarm. Exit signs we'll talk about for a second, but they are required. It can be the kind that are stuck on and people hate them. I know. You go into a haunt and you're like, oh, it says exit right there. It's glowing. Yeah, I know. I mean, there's a reason for this, and it's because of deaths. So get over it, understand, okay, it's there for a purpose, but I'm more worried about the scare actor around the corner that's going to leap out and, and cause some people to pee. That's the way that the mentality needs to be. But exit signs are there, so if something happens, someone gets a chicken run, and they want to book out of
Yeah.
there. You got chicken run signs even, if you can't tolerate this, you have to go. But you have to have lights, you got to have signs, and these are required. And your fire marshal is the go-to guy because he'll tell you what he wants because each state is different, each city is different, each county. I'm telling you, each fire marshal can be really tight or can be a looser kind of guy.
Yeah, and I've
So,
seen places where the fire marshal was loose for the first 5 years, and then a new fire marshal steps in and wants something different.
yep.
So you try to build to higher standards to what you're expected to most of the time. You
Exactly. I
know.
build my props that way. Oh my God. My props are,
Hmm.
I've got pneumatic props that it's like, it won't move. Yeah, I put too much, I built too heavy of a wood. I got to lighten the wood. I got to lighten the load. I got to do that. Yeah, yeah, I know. And the same thing with this stuff. You overbuild or you overcompensate kind of. You know what the guy's going to try to hammer you, and you got to think about it ahead of time. I tell you, it's nothing worse than coming down to the wire and the guy does the walkthrough and it's like, uh, that cord's got to be changed. That's wrong. That's not lit enough. You need two more extinguishers. You're like, oh, jeez. And we're opening in 2 more days.
Or yeah,
It's tough. It really is.
just
It's that's
just go ahead and
scary.
just go ahead and build your hallways 36 inches. We had a 36-inch board that we just used everywhere we were at, just like a template.
Be
Okay, that's
smart.
36 inches. That's 36 inches. Nope, kick this wall out a little bit. Four
Yep.
more inches. All right,
Yep.
anchor it
E-
down. So
Exactly. Daryl, is
yeah.
it different in Canada? I don't even know about Canada. What do they
I
have?
don't know what all the rules are. We don't have necessarily the accessibility requirements for everything, though it is a good idea. Um, I know currently the haunt that I work at is not wheelchair accessible, though we did have two wheelchair actors this year. So we could get them around. We did have an elevator in the building to get them up to the second floors. But we've got stairs in multiple locations in our haunt. We have outside, and as we were discussing off camera, sometimes it snows here in Canada.
At least, yeah. That's
As
cold. It is quiet falling. That's weight though too on the ceiling. That's a whole nother issue, and
Yeah.
then the safety issue.
Do you know what causes haunted attractions to shut down before they even get started? The top 3 roadblocks are lack of funding, lack of leadership, lack of resources. As a member of the Haunters Toolbox, you get instant access to the tools you need to start and grow your own haunted attraction business. To get started, become a member at haunterstoolbox.com.
Now, we do
Um,
have one of the questions from chat. Do haunted trails fall under the NFPA?
no, because we're not a
Nope.
building.
Now,
And
if you have individual buildings on that trail, vignettes that people pop into, they still fall under the NFPA, but not the general outdoor stuff and the rides.
those don't either because you're under 160 square feet normally. Normally it's a little shack. You've got the witch's shack or a scene, and that's usually open on one end, and it's not a big issue. If you're if it's a freestanding building and you're walking in and you're sticking your head in and looking at a couple things and ducking out, that's not a fixed walled system, and normally doesn't as long as your wiring is run properly. And if again, your fire marshal needs to come out. He needs to look at things and give you the thumbs up, or he might say, you just got to move that wall back, or you really got to put that cord safely out of the way. I mean, just little stuff. It doesn't
Good.
fall under this guideline. Again, it's not a building per se, and it's not because you can have portable haunts, but those are fixed things that you move around, and it's a different thing than the trails. So
Right.
trails are a different
absolutely, yeah,
rating.
Somebody else had mentioned that they thought it was 1,000 square feet, not 160 foot for the sprinkler requirements. Is that The NFPA is maybe more strict than some of the local.
They'll have to follow that standard. This is the global standard.
Okay.
Started here in the United States.
So when it comes
Uh,
down to, like, this is the holy grail of
yes,
requirements.
yes,
But then, like you said, each state, city, local
is more.
jurisdiction, like here, rural Missouri, you can do whatever you want. Like you don't have to, if you want to go out there in the woods and build up whatever you want, there's nobody checking on you. You can do whatever you want in rural Missouri. And some areas here in Mexico don't require sprinkler systems. So and I've heard like Ohio, Indiana, or Ohio, there was some kind of law because Leonard talked about it a lot about sprinkler systems in buildings that they got rid of the requirements. So like Bill's saying, always check locally because like overbuild stuff for the NFPA, but your local guy may have a completely different what he wants, you know?
I've seen fire marshals, and I'll bring that up here in a second. So they won't detract from this. They'll add more requirements to it, or they'll specify, okay, I need a fire signature every 4 feet.
Mm,
And if you're like, what? And if he says,
yeah.
that's it, if you want me to sign off, I'll be happy to as soon as you put those every 4 feet.
Yeah, and I've seen people that have had all their stuff in order and say, well, if you go to the FPA section 1.042, it says right here. So if it comes to that situation, would you fight it? Would you try to push back on that?
What are you going to
Or
fight?
yeah, I mean, because they're adding. I mean, they can make the rules. So, but
The
if you,
fire marshal will make the rules,
yeah,
and that's rural settings are different than urban settings. I think as far as these guys and people reporting you and all, if you're out in the backwoods, no one gives a crap. I mean, because you got 200 people you're going to have for your church. You're going to put together a little haunt. It's going to be up one day and no one's going to know about it. Okay, fine. I mean, you can get away with stuff. It's if you want to go, if you want people to come in here, you want to make some real money, you want to get this thing done right, have it walk through and all that, you're going to have to pay some money. That's all there is to it. And the return can be you'll make money because you'll make somebody happy. You'll save lives. You'll make the fire marshal happy, and then the commissioners will start coming out. And then and the in the information I've given you guys, one of the things is the letter and the contact information I use to invite the mayor, the commissioners, all the uppity dignitaries in the area. I invited them all out, got on all the radio and TV stations, did interviews. You've got to push. And sometimes social media is great, but sometimes you want to get the big rollers up here. And I don't care. The mayor may be 45, 50 years old. He's not really into it. But if you get that name out there, oh, okay, the mayor's gone. Well, then they'll drag a few people in the news media with them. You play the game. Um, so I forgot where I was, but anyway, it's small town. Don't worry about it. Yeah, when you go big time, you gotta
well,
play the game.
to me, you got to think about your customers and your employees for safety. I mean,
That's it.
you want to overbuild. If your requirements are not, you still want people to find their way out. You still want nobody tripping over stuff in the field, in the trails. You want to have those all clear of roots, and you want to get rid of all your screws and all your things sticking out, and make sure
Right.
we built the dead factory 36 inches. We weren't required to, but we did it because we wanted people to enjoy it in a wheelchair. And then once we started
Mhm.
marketing that, people are like, "Oh my God, they're the only handicap accessible haunt around our area." So we got people that were handicapped. They had wheelchairs. Now we power wheelchairs are almost those oversized ones. Those are going to be a little tricky, but they still
That's
work.
tough. Yeah.
But yeah. So when you're building your stuff, just kind of have We had someone in a wheelchair, a big wheelchair, and we just pushed them through let them go through the thing and see how it
Yep.
worked. All right, we're good to go. So,
Yeah,
but continue.
and we'll talk about that because ADA compliance is a topic in here too, because Scott Swenson, Philip and Scott do great seminars. And Scott, one of the ones he did was about ADA compliance. And some of us aren't thinking that way when we build. Uh, you need to, and let me get on there in just a second, and we'll talk more about that because that's a good point, the ADA and wheelchairs. And just to make sure your walls are, and they have to do fire ratings and all this. Your walls and interior finishes, you've got to be safe. You got to be smart, and that's all part of the requirements with the Fire Protection Association. So, so the 701 code, some of us have heard of, some of us haven't. It holds true for anything you have hanging, not moss and all that, but anything like plastic vegetation. If you got fake moss or branches hanging down, they've got to be treated. They have to be fireproof. Draperies, curtains, all the things that we use sometimes in haunts for actors to hide behind or to give someone a false sense of, oh, there's got to be something behind there and it's over here, not there. Uh, it's you have to have those things fire treated and be safe. Makes sense, right? I mean, you don't want stuff to catch fire easily, and that's what the going back to the haunted the the fire that happened that killed so many people. So our props are probably some of our gems. We spend big bucks sometimes on props. I've seen some big bucks dropped on some large props. And you can have a, a prop, but it's got to be treated. You can't have one that's going to light up in flames. And that's, part of what your fire marshal is going to look at. So I'm telling you, there's fire marshals out there. They'll carry the lighter in their pocket and they'll pull it out just to check.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll wave that flame right underneath your prop just to see, or those curtains to make sure and you might say something and give them documentation. But if you're lying, man, they'll test you sometimes. I've seen it. Uh,
I've heard stories.
oh, yeah. And they'll shut you down in a heartbeat. Nope, you're done. Close up. You're done. Everybody get out. It's like, what? What just happened? People at
Mm-hmm.
the door like, we're paid. We're paid. Go home. Yeah, try to get out of that. So just remember, you can't have certain materials in your haunt, and it makes sense. You can on a haunted corn maze. Okay, fine. You got corn. You can't treat corn. It doesn't work that way. Corn stalks and big piles of hay, they're usually pretty far apart, and you can run in and out of them. And I've seen haunts where they've got the actors on top of the hay bales so they can see what's coming and going. They keep an eye on things too. That is nice to have that. But in your haunt, you can't have this stuff. Anything that's flammable, you can't have it. I had heard from, on and off the subject, from a patient of mine that used to have mulch. He was a mulch salesperson, and there's his business. He sold mulch, whatever kind of mulch you get, cypress mulch. But he said that the pine tree guys weren't even allowed in some of these venues to sell their product because it was so flammable. They were afraid that pine needles would catch fire, and it doesn't take much, and set the place ablaze, and everybody else had a bad time. So they wouldn't let them in, and I'd heard that from back in the day. I'm like, really? And then now it makes sense. Now that I'm thinking about it, I've seen some stuff go up pretty quickly. Um, so just be smart. Don't use that stuff ahead of time because they'll make you take it out, or they'll just close you down. Anyway, so an EAP, that's under section 1041. An EAP is I have a sample of it in the handout, and it's your way to train your actors and anyone involved in the haunt on how to be safe and think safe, how to save lives, how to save their own life, how to save their patrons, how to keep everybody safe. And you've got to have a training session. You have everybody come in. Okay, this day we're going to train, and everybody signs off on it on the end. They understand it. They understand what was presented to them. They grasp it, and they're going to comply. Come hell or high water, they're going to do it. And you put boom. And I have a copy. I had a binder. I would just have the binder of all the signatures. Here you go. Here you go. And this guy is this actor, that actor's, blah, blah, blah. Here's what they're doing. Here's the makeup person. Everybody understands, and they have to. Does that make sense? Right?
Yeah.
You gotta all be involved. Otherwise, there's a breakdown and there's going to be problems. And if someone doesn't want to sign, have a nice day. So, and I just put this in here because I started thinking, who hasn't used Visqueen somewhere in the past? I think we've all gone to black Visqueen. Back in the day, yeah, it would light up and burn. Now they've got Visqueen that's flame resistant, flame retardant, I guess is the word you want to have. It just kind of curls up and all that. And to use that in a haunt, you've got to have there's the 701 test, the 15 test. 701 again holds true to things that are hanging. The 15 test is a a flame resistance test. And if it doesn't pass, you can't use it. Okay. But here's the issue. Some places won't even let you use it. Some states, cities, counties, they're like, no, you can't use this crap. Get this out of here. Pull it down, get it out, move it. And that's been done before. They've shut down haunts when they find even fire resistant, fire retardant visqueen. So don't even, you talk to your fire marshal first when you got the idea in your head about, well, here's what I want to use. And he'll say, nah, nix that, nix that. Nope, nope. That's okay. That's okay. And you'll learn quickly, well, I'm going to save money on this. I'm going to spend a little more on that. And that's the way to do it. That's a prop I had. That's actually a skull from Kyle Snow. If you remember Kyle, he did, I
Yeah.
think, some of the Pirates of the Caribbean skeletons back in the day. He makes
Mhm.
awesome skulls. It looks so realistic. That's a bad lighting on that one, but it looks so realistic. Uh, that is so old. But I had it in a box, a basketball box, and had it at my house, and people would go, "Ooh." And you give a little story. Oh yeah, that's from a dead guy. I found his body when, I mean, you milk that one. They're like, really? The people that aren't hunters fall for it all every time. They're like, oh, wow, how'd you get the body home? Oh, I just bathed it in hot boiling water and whatever. Anyway,
Well, you can't, since you're an eye doctor, you can probably get away with, more than most people. So,
um, maybe, yeah, maybe. Yeah,
yeah.
I've got a bunch of medical equipment in my in some of the hunts I've had and at home and just fun stuff. Anyway, just understand, this is a generalized statement, but there are some states that they tell you you can't have a dead end. In your, let's say your lost maze or whatever, you can't have anything more than I think 20 feet or 10 feet. I can't remember the run in Texas. Texas is bad about this. They're like, no, you can't have it more than this, more than that. Other places, okay, you can have a 30-foot run and angles. This, you can't have a dead end more than so many feet. And they'll tell you that. Or they'll say, you know what, number of extinguishers, number of exit signs, the placement, they'll tell you where it's going to go. Again, your fire marshal, if he sees a blueprint laid out and your plans, he'll tell you, okay, that sounds like a good idea, or no, let's put an extra one or two. And you got to, okay, because he's the man, he's being safe. And some states even require, and I don't know, Brian, at some of the places you've been, but in some haunts, and ours was one of those, you had to have someone escorting a group. Group couldn't be more than 6 or 10 people, and it couldn't be, more than so many feet between one and the other, and that's the way things go, though. In some states, they'll tell you, oh, you can't have more than 8 in your group. And you got to tell people that sometimes. They come in with 12 people. You're like, I got to break it into 2 groups. I'm sorry. That's the law.
Mhm.
And they'll understand that if there's signage out front and they, warn ahead of time. Okay.
I think Scarlet badges are one of the smartest things I've seen in the industry in a really long time. Scarlet badges are basically either pins or embroidered patches, kind of like merit badges, as they are, somewhat named after, from Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and Brownies, and where after you've accomplished something, you can wear the brag tag of the embroidered patch. Some haunts put them on jackets, some put them on t-shirts, some put them on, with the pins, I've seen them put them on lanyards. But the neat thing about them is they are very specific in what they are rewarding. And they're haunt-based images that reflect what's being rewarded. It's retention, it is bringing people back, and it's actually giving your haunters, your haunt performers, the ability to share that they are haunt performers. And, oh really, you're a scare actor. Where do you do that? And then they will insert the name of your haunt right there. So it's also marketing. I've always been a big fan of Scarlet badges. I think they're great. So check them out, scarletbadges.com. No, that is not a paid advertisement. That is just my recommendation. I think it's really cool.
ScottSwinson.com.
And safety drill stuff. Yeah. There are some states that make everybody go through safety drills. That means that they got to understand what's going on with the fire extinguishers.
It's a good idea
water.
anyway, even if you don't.
Yeah. All right.
Mhm.
We'll just talk 2 seconds about ADA compliance since you've already gone that way. There's no grandfather clausing. Understand that. If you've got a haunt that's old and it's got ramps and all this stuff that might interfere with rolling in a wheelchair, for example, You can't have that. You can't have trap doors. You can't have things that are going to cause people to fall. I mean, stuff that makes sense. There's
But
also
no
other
trap
issues.
doors, come on. Like we have
I,
no freedom
I know
now.
it's shot.
Jeez.
I first heard that, I'm like, what? No trap doors. But
So
does that mean, so I didn't understand, and I got to ask somebody this. Does that mean if you have an actor hidden off to the side, that wants to grab your ankles or do the little tickly things at your feathers, whatever, along your legs as you walk by, he has a little door and it opens. I don't think that's a trap door because it's not trapping them, vertically, but it's something off to the side. But then again, that could be an issue. I don't know. But just remember with ADA people, you when you're having a haunch, you're having promoted as ADA compliant. We'll take wheelchairs and cripples and okay, fine. But they have to have an alternative route to do that if there's issues. And you have to have that alternative route fully themed. You can't just have, oh, you take the fire exit, go around and around and come out over here, and you're going to bypass all the good stuff. No, you have to give them something on the way. It can't be boring and they're paying. It's a paying client, or patron, or whatever you want to call them. So it kind of makes sense. They have to have an experience. Doesn't matter if you're in a wheelchair or not. And the motorized ones, I can see that being a problem, Brian. If it's too large, I don't know
mhm.
how wide you have to be for those big ones. I've seen some big ones. There's a six-wheeled one now. I've seen a guy had one the other day. It was just massive.
Yeah,
Anyway,
there was we have one local guy here, teenager. They got paralyzed, and he was in a almost like a bed,
yes,
and
yes, I've seen that.
we couldn't do that.
Yep.
We said we're sorry. I mean, if you want to come out and hang out around the front, we can give you some kind of show, but it won't accommodate that.
Yeah.
So
You just tell them that ahead of time. Say, look, dude,
yeah,
I know, but did he buy a ticket already? Was he
no,
pre-sold?
he called us, and I know his mom and dad, so they were asking about it.
Right.
I said, well, let me do maybe take measurements and you give me your measurements. I was like, no, it won't work.
Yeah.
It wouldn't because it was the angle of the chair was too high
Right.
to make the turns and
Yep.
it wouldn't make it.
Yep.
But we
I
tried.
totally get it. Totally get it. And again, Scott Swenson has a great little presentation on ADA. And just to make sure that you have someone who's trained in ADA compliance and understands all this and knows how to do evacuation and all that. And if you're going to go that way, if you're going to try to go, okay, let's incorporate this whole thing and let's build a nice thing around this. Because if you have like our haunt was a cement slab, so we didn't have that issue. Everything was wide. We had plenty of room to turn, like 4-foot corridors. We were fine. So it didn't apply to us. But if you have a small haunt, yeah, that will. It's just a spider. So just quickly, why do people go to haunted houses? They want to be scared, right? So if someone says, "Oh, you scared me, I'm going to sue you," dude, it's like that's the reason why you went here was you were going to be scared. We told you ahead of time. So
Hmm.
you trying to sue us because you're scared? Like someone who brings their daughter, "Oh my God, my 8-year-old daughter got scared." Yeah, that's our point. We're supposed to do that. So I don't think the lawsuit's going to happen with that, but there's been people that try to sue for that. But if you've got a haunted house and the people, they're stuck in a fire blazing place or the floor crumbles and they break a leg, yeah, that wasn't expected. They weren't paying for that, and now they got hurt. So what does that bring us to? Liability and insurance. So, one of the ways that a lot of people try to get around this, and Leonard maybe has some input from all the haunts that he's helped coordinate around the country. Um, you post disclaimers at the front, you put them on your tickets, you put them on your websites, and some people even have people sign saying, "Oh, I'm warned that I could break a leg," or well, not that, but anyway, you get the point. Well, if they know they're going to be scared and something happens to them, who's going to be at, well, you knew there was going to be a problem when you came in here, and we knew we could possibly cause a problem, but we try not to. So that's where the attorneys get involved, and that's when things could get kind of ugly. So let's move on just for a second here. Um, Insurances really, they kind of fall under a couple things you're thinking about. One, okay, so someone at my haunt slips and trips and falls and bumps their head into a wall. Okay, that's an issue. If you have a prop that's getting janky and it's an old prop or it locks up sometimes or it's rusted, okay, you should have done something. You should have done better. Okay, you didn't do that. If you have hazardous props, okay, you need to, if you know that thing is janky, fix it ahead of time. Don't try to run your haunt. So here's the different type of insurances. Just quickly, I'm not an insurance salesperson. I have no idea what all this stuff
We
does.
have one online though, so don't worry.
Great. He can give plenty of feedback then. So the
And
general,
Craig?
yeah, Craig is online and he said, "Did somebody say insurance?"
yeah,
And he's done a seminar with us before too.
yeah, okay. So there's, then I won't beat this. General liability, commercial, all these are types of insurances that you have to have or you should have in a haunt that's trying to make money. You got to protect yourself. And each one I'll go into just for 10 seconds, right? General liability, what does it do? It keeps you safe, it keeps your patrons safe. If your guest gets hurt, slips over and breaks a leg, whatever. That's what that's for, liability insurance. Commercial property insurance, that's what you do to protect your stuff. You got some cool props, okay. You don't want to have someone fall into one and break it, okay. And then there's smoke damage, fire damage. And a lot of places, if you're having a haunt and you have it at a facility or venue, they'll make you have your insurance. They'll make you have insurance policy before they even think about you being there to have your haunt. It's the way it can be. And inland marine killed me. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? That's a term that they've used for years, I guess, for storing stuff for boats off of the boat. But now we fall under that same thing. If you have a haunted attraction, you have a cool prop, you're like, I'm going to store it off season. I'm not going to do the Krampus and the haunted Halloween. I mean the Valentine stuff and all that. Well, it covers your gear there. So if something gets damaged off site, it'll still be covered. I don't know if you recognize the picture. That's a nasty old Landau cover on a hearse. I saw one time at a haunt. Very cool. But we all know about insurances for cars. You want to promote your vehicle, with a vehicle, promote your haunt. Fine, that's what it's for. But you have to have insurance for that in case somebody rear ends you or you run over someone. All right. And then workers' comp. I think we all understand this. You've got people you want to protect that are your haunters, your actors, your makeup people, anyone that's there on site that works for you. Yeah, you want to protect them. Even, see the bottom line,
Say that.
theatrical lenses. So if you have an actor and you make them wear this lens, dude, you got to wear this lens as part of this costume, and yeah, you can't wear them, but a few hours, 6 hours, but it's really cool, and they get an eye infection because of it, because their eyes don't breathe oxygen as well with that scleral lens or whatever lens you've got. Yeah, it can be covered under workers' comp. I didn't know that until I started looking into this a little more. I'm like, oh, okay. So there is coverage for that.
So where do you
Ask where-
recommend getting contact lenses from?
So it depend. My sites have changed over the last few years. Gothica was it. Exotic lenses, Mike Murray, and well, Mike's out of the picture now. But people that sell the lenses, I'll take a step back. Those were made originally by a company that all of us eye doctors used to buy our lenses from outside of Georgia. So a lens that I would prescribe is the same lens as Gothica's lenses. And then the manufacturing is now approved for certain products. There are certain countries that their products aren't approved, and you have to get a product that's FDA safe or FDA approved. And yeah, eye doctors can do that, but also Gothica lenses, exotic lenses, those are still all valid lenses. They're not like safe, wear them every single day kind of lenses. They reduce oxygen to the eye, so they have issues, but they're there. And Luxottica, hello. Exotic Lenses is the company I'd recommend.
Okay.
And this is a volunteer accident insurance is out there. I don't know anything about it. I just know that it's available for people that want to have an additional policy for people that volunteer. There you go. So ask our insurance guy. Almost done here. So security, there's other kinds of security and safety. The one I'm talking about. Security guys, and it all depends on the size of your haunt, how many security guys you want. And I would look for guys that have been ex-cops perhaps, or they've been bouncers, people that know safety and know how to run a safe haunt. And alcohol service, you got to have an alcohol license to serve on property, and you got to watch that. There are some haunts I know that have beer available, and that's fine, but you have to know there's consequences to having alcohol on the premises. And I was personally involved in some of that in one of our haunts. So, and there are risks, risks with booze. And the security guys know that. So, one of the things that I just want to touch on is a ratio. People are like, well, how many? Okay, here's some statistics around 1 in 50. So you have one security guard to 50 people you expect. If you expect 2,000 people, it's a lot of security. I mean, you got people in the parking lot being security guards when you have a large volume of people coming through. You've got security guys at the sometimes planned in the middle of your haunt and at the exit and the entrance and other places. So there's no set number. I think it whatever you feel good with and what you can afford, but you've got to have that in the back of your mind. There's other forms of safety, not just insurance and everything else.
Seen some haunts that have called local sheriff departments out, local cop, city police out, and then they donate certain things to their funds, or
Yes.
they pay them,
Yes.
or give them $500 for the night or whatever, just to be out there on site, which is a good idea.
Yes. Same with the fire department. If you
Right.
if your fire marshal knows the fire chief real well and they're buddy, and they've got guys that are volunteer this at a fire department nearby, well, they may bring their for the kids, they may have a hook and ladder out there. The big trucks, they have pump trucks. They'll have things out there offering you that, like EMS guys, they're out there too sometimes at haunts. You have to kind of play it by ear as to how you want that to go. But yeah, that's fire guys. I mean, the police guys are great to have out there. So here's something we all think about, and especially over the last few years, biological males, not, I'm talking guys with lots of testosterone. I've seen them in haunts react so wild, and you can see videos of them. They'll be defensive, they'll be reactive, and they'll be protective. They have a little girl, and all of a sudden they shove the little girl behind them. The little girl falls over, getting just knocked over, and the guy's ready to punch the actor. I, it's crazy. And I don't know how a good way is to prevent some of this. Maybe you guys have got some ideas. It's just there's some guys that just are that way. I've seen big guys whimper and pee themselves because they're afraid of a scare actor. But I've seen them get very defensive. What about you, Brian? Have you seen anything like that?
Yeah, what we try to do is I always try my actors to start from the parking lot. So if you know this guy's going to cause problems, we have about an hour or so to figure it out.
Yes.
So between the parking people, the ticket person, the queue line actors, by the time he gets in there, now there are some people that might surprise you because they're not scared until they get inside, and then it's like you get the reflexes going on, and
Oh
I'm gonna
yeah.
kick your ass. But so we try to stop it. Then we have, of course, walkie-talkies in each zone. So as
Yep.
soon as something happens, make sure you're on the walkie, get to the zone leader, and we get the guy out of there. That's the quickest. And then we have an egress around the haunt, so they, shoot one of the exit doors and let's go. We're going to get him out as soon
Yep.
as possible.
Yep.
But unfortunately, you cannot predict everything. So
Yep.
you just have to have
It's
safety measures in place, right?
yep. It's scary. Daryl, you've seen it too, right?
Yeah, yeah, I've definitely seen that. But then again, I end up watching a lot of video cameras of in our haunt. I've seen the opposite as well, where instead of protecting their girl, they sacrifice their girl and run away.
Oh yeah.
And video
Leave me alone,
cameras.
Dad. Yeah.
Use their girlfriend as a meat shield. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, damn, girl,
Yes.
drop him.
Yeah. And there's pictures you see sometimes of the flash picture of someone going, I don't know if some of that's staged because I don't know a haunt that uses that much flash to get somebody all of a sudden in the oh my God moment. Uh,
Yeah, some of those are real because I've had some conversations with people that have
really?
given us, yeah.
The very common one that you see online where everybody's backed up against a wall. I've been through that haunt. It's in Niagara Falls, Canada, on the
Yeah.
Canadian side, and it's a dark haunt.
Oh,
Everything is dark except for two spots, and one of them Basically, they do something, the flash happens. You get the noise first and then the flash. That's why everybody is scared because there's sparks and
Yeah.
then they flash it. So it's real,
Oh, wow. Okay, good. It's good to
but
know that.
it's very well timed. It's very well set up. But people actually jump.
Okay.
And when I was there probably 18 or 19 years ago, they had, this is where we got the tally for our chicken outs. Our haunt uses chicken outs. At that time, they'd had a lifetime chicken out of 67,000 people.
No.
Just being a
1,000?
dark, just
Yep,
67,000 people.
67,000 people.
Oh, man.
Over
Oh,
the lifetime of their haunt because
That's
it's
huge.
absolutely pitch dark. It runs all year, you know, 18 hours a day or whatever, and it's
is
it's
it?
pretty
Tons.
insane.
Have you checked out HauntersToolbox.com yet? It's free to join and full of useful information to help you start and grow your own haunted attraction business. All the information on HauntersToolbox.com is created by the pros who do it. We have a library with ebooks and presentations on topics like creating an employee handbook, starting a business plan, or the best types of lights to use at your haunt, plus a lot more. You get instant access to the library plus free video masterclasses by the experts in the haunt industry. Classes like Alan Hops from Dark Hour Haunted House teaching scare acting, or Philip Hernandez from the Haunted Attraction Network teaching marketing and social media, or Leonard Pickle from Hauntpreneurs teaching haunt design and construction. I even got a few masterclasses in there as well. You don't have to do it alone. Let us help you. We also host monthly live masterclasses to steer you in the right direction so you don't get lost. Once you become a member, you also get instant updates on our next masterclass in your email so you don't miss the next one. And if you need more one-on-one help, there is an option for that as well. I would be honored to help you get your attraction started or help you grow your current one. I know what it takes. Let's talk. If you're interested, you want to start and grow your haunted attraction, go check out HauntersToolbox.com. Don't be scared.
Is there
That's
actors in that haunt, or is it
Probably
noises and
no, it's noises, but there's probably maybe half a dozen people that ran it at that
yeah?
time.
It
You know,
wow.
would
we
be
were there, I
loud, but
think, on a Thursday afternoon or something, and my
That's
son and I went through and
crazy. The shock mat. I've heard people putting shock mats on the walls. Some of the haunts,
yeah.
about chest level,
yep,
and at 9 volt. That no, geez, it makes it make okay. It's not that way. Got to go this way, and you
yeah.
help steer them
I'm
in the
trying to
dark.
convince my boss to do that, and he thinks there might be some legality issues here in Canada for that. So
Yep.
we're
They're called scat mats on Amazon, used
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
pets.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
9 volt
Scat mats.
batteries.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. Now they become really cheap, but yeah. Yeah. We've
yeah.
got
30
two.
bucks,
We
I think.
rescue dogs. We got I think 10 dogs, so we use them here and there, and we want to keep the dogs off of something. So yeah,
Yeah.
I totally get them. Yep.
But be prepared because you put those in your dark maze, people don't want to touch the walls. So then you're slowing down a lot. Because we
Mhm.
always had
Yep.
people that got jammed up right there because we had them right there before the dark maze. We have a little
Uh-huh.
dark section in ours too. So
Nice. Right. I just want to talk about video for just a couple of seconds. Just make sure that if you have video cameras, which I think Daryl, you said you sit back and watch, that people know that they're being videoed ahead of
Yeah.
time because there are things they're going to do differently when they know they're on camera. And there are all consent rules, and our insurance maybe person or some legal person has some input on that. But in certain states, like in Florida, when you do an all party consent rule, that means one person signs up for the group, buys tickets, but they're speaking on everybody else's behalf that yes, we're all okay with that. Mm, yeah, you got to be careful with that because video cameras, some people are like, I didn't know I was going to be on video. I didn't know I was going to be on YouTube with my video. Well, if you let them know ahead of time, and then if they don't like it, they don't have to go in. And let's see and smartphones. I think we all have to deal with this now. The, social marketing is everywhere. Everybody's got to have the TikTok, and there's problems with, and I think a lot of them just a lot of haunts now just say no smartphones because they got flash, they got people drop them. It's just bad. It's disruptive, and there are people that like to sneak and look at intellectual properties. They're like, I like that prop right there. I'll just take a little picture here. And if you stop the smartphones ahead of time and let them know they can't do that, that's good. But also you can boot them, and because there are people that are going to break the rules because they want to have the same kind of prop in their haunt. So, you know, so when you have rules and waivers and things, they can sign them, but you got to tell people you can't bring your smartphone in here, or we're going to kick you out. We're going to boot you out. You're going to be gone. And again, if they say, well, no, I'm going to bring my camera no matter what, I got to share my TikTok. You can't come in then. Have a nice day. And it's got to be that you got to protect yourself sometimes. Can you imagine someone walking around with the phone the entire time? It's just, that's like in a movie theater. It's like, really? Put the phone down. I got lights in my face now. So, smartphones are okay in queue lines is about basically what I wanted to tell you here. And everybody knows that, queue lines marketing and everybody wants it. So, so here's a final piece of advice. Consult your fire marshal. Good Lord. If you have a plan on a blueprint, that's fine. Show it to him. Say, here's what I'm thinking about doing. And if he's like, well, no, you got to add X, Y, Z, fine. Look at your applications, your schedule your inspections. Just do everything right. If you play by the books, except in rural Missouri, apparently,
Hmm.
you'll be you'll be doing okay. They'll tell you what's wrong. These guys aren't shy about that. I got kicked a couple times. It's like, nah, you got to do the X, Y, and Z. So,
Yeah.
so here's word from the trenches. You guys know that. Um, Talk with other haunters, not the ones in your area, probably because you're going to piss off the group who's trying to compete with you, but somebody else that be it in another state, like Alan Hops or somebody. Just talk to somebody else. Um, and everybody's been there and done that, and they can share stories. Oh, good Lord, I've got so many stories, and you guys have got stories, and you want to just help somebody out. Say, dude, don't do that because here's what can happen, and I got burned. And you tell them, and they're like, oh crap, okay, I'm not going to do that. Good idea.
Yeah, like seminar, like these haunt gatherings they have at conventions and trade shows. They have like speed rounds where you can ask people. They have little parties that you can join. Little quieter parties. I know there's bar parties every night at Transworld, but um, it's hard to hear and talk sometimes up there. So I always like talking to people at the show or off the show floor. You
Yeah.
know.
Yep. Out in the
But
hallway,
yeah,
whatever. Yep.
everybody's kind of, in this industry, everyone's, that's where I've learned a lot of my stuff just by talking to.
Exactly. Get ideas,
Yeah.
like certain badges. So this is a link, and this dopey little thing. I looked at it afterward, and I'm like, when you type it out, it doesn't work right. It's underscore J underscore is what that link is, and I'll give you that, Brian. I'll let you
Yeah.
have that to share.
All these links that Bill's talking about, I want to put in the chat messages of this Facebook group. And I'll also be sending in, if you're on our email list, you'll get a link in your email too. So if you're not
Yeah.
on our email list, go to hunterstoolbox.com and sign up.
Yeah, exactly. So on it, I mean, there's tons of stuff. One of the things was again, Melissa Winton and I put together this step from A to Z how to open a haunt. That's phenomenal product. The EAP forums that I use for the fire marshal to make them all, and again, these are all fire marshal approved forms that I'm going to give you. The safety checklist, the warning signs, and when you want to post signs on your website, your tickets, or outside your haunt, I've got some wording on there, but it doesn't hold true for every single haunt. So it's just a suggestion. You figured out what you want to do, and then room assignments. I just gave you an example how to. It's like a sheet. It tells you, okay, here's where you want Sally Sue to be, and you want John to be, and this night, that night, and what shift, and it's just saving time, hopefully. I don't want you to rethink this hard. So I just put this together because I thought about this picture the other day. This is my Halloween slash Christmas montage little thing I put together. It's basically my penguins that we use at Christmas time, and they all had little eyeballs on their little feet, two of them anyway. And so people would say, "Oh, what a cute little." At Christmas time, and then they'd see the eyeballs and kind of go, uh, okay, and then it's like, okay, makes sense. Anyway,
Yep.
So anyway, I'm going to turn it over to you, Bry. I'll just stop sharing it, and then you can have people electronically raise their hands, or they can do whatever works for you.
Well, go back to so Tammy Kane. She said Bill is a great guy. I've been a friend of his for many years. He actually helped me get started doing what I do now, and giving me the faith in myself to do it.
Thanks, Tammy.
So,
Wow,
so
she's awesome. Creates some phenomenal products. I don't know if she wants to share her site with you guys or not, but she does some
oh
awesome
yeah, she can play her.
props.
What she make? Where's she at?
So there are all kinds of life size prop. They're like replications of uh, the clown from It. She's got Lecter, a Hannibal Lecter recently, and these are all life size, real looking props that she hand makes. The clown from what was the little clown? The little this clown from Poltergeist, the one with the
Poltergeist?
long arms around
Yeah,
the kid and the neck and all that. That goofy looking clown
thing
everybody
freaks me
hates.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, it freaks
Hmm.
everybody out.
Yeah.
She makes so many props, and she takes them to haunt shows or to horror shows and shows them off in the booths, and you get photo opportunities. They're, I mean, just you'd think it was like the real deal prop.
Yeah.
So
Photo ops are
yeah,
awesome for
oh yeah,
haunts.
phenomenal. Yep,
They're
yeah, they're
expanded a
fun.
lot. Now some haunts have like midways, just backdrops of
Hmm.
take your photo here, take your photo here, take your. So that's good. Good for.
Who's it that had the one that was it Edmonds that had the one that had the zombie with you hold the gun and it looks like his brains are being blown out with a pistol
Oh,
and the gun was in the air. You just walk up and hold the gun
yeah.
and it looks like you. That was a few years ago.
Was that distortions or was that? I know Pell
Oh,
Night
it
used.
was distortions. Yes,
It was
it
okay.
was. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
haunted distortions. Yes,
Okay. So I
and
knew Pell
that
Night
was
used to do some stuff like that, and I can't remember, but
that was years. That was back in
they seemed like they'd have one
11,
each year
12.
because they had like a chainsaw
Yeah,
one at
yeah,
one
yes,
time,
yeah,
and then
yep,
um,
yeah. It may have been distortions.
Dave Ferrier, there's no absolute right method to throw someone out. It's always going to depend on each situation. The key is to have people and security who have your back. That is
Yep.
true.
Like a bouncer, same thing.
And make
There's
sure you
ways to
get
talk.
right. And make sure that your staff and everybody's on board to know exactly the protocol to do it. That way, if some actor gets abused or verbally abused or um, physically abused, and they have a way to get them out. And we had a group of kids that came through. They're military. We have a military school here, and they're military cadet boys. Middle school, high school, and there was a group of boys in that bunch that were kind of insulting some of the female actors. So
Wow.
we had that. The girls came out. The boys, the commander lined them all up. It was kind of putting them right there on the spot, and so they never made it back after that. I mean, we were going to give them another chance, but they never made it back through. So I don't know if that they got in trouble by their commander, like, well, after this. So, but just have a way to take care of things if they happen.
Sure. You got to protect your actors.
Yeah,
That's your bread and butter.
Yeah.
If there's no actors, people aren't going to come.
right.
You know.
And to that point, Dave was just saying in the chat that the best idea this season was to give every spot a radio and train our actors on how to use them and what to say. Now, I replied that we had 100+ actors every night this year.
Yeah.
So that is impractical to give everybody a radio. But we have put money into expanding our camera system. In addition to expanding our camera system, our actors, queue line actors, roaming actors, customer service staff. There's key people that have radios, but they are watching people more closely. And we've had roaming actors that tell the lead roaming actor that, okay, kind of got to watch these guys. They're a little aggressive. We have other people that evaluate that. We watch them through the lineups because we have queue line actors, right? They're paying attention.
Mhm.
Watch the guy in that red puffy jacket with the big R on his chest,
Yeah.
sort of thing,
Yeah.
and mitigate many of those problems before they've happened. And we've had people that say, okay, you are being a little on the rowdy side, and this is a warning: you will get kicked out if you continue on like this. And probably 85% of the time, it works pretty well. They settle down. Some people are just reacting to fear. Some people, because we serve alcohol on premises, get a little wired and
Yep.
wiry, and that testosterone comes out. And sometimes it's you'd mentioned the male testosterone characters or customers, patrons. We do have uh, all genders, including non-binary, that sometimes do get
Hmm.
violent when they're
Yep.
under alcohol or other substance. And with our team, though, with everybody watching them, train the actors to go up that chain of command if it's not possible to give everybody an actor. If you're a small haunt and you've got a dozen actors and you happen to rent a dozen radios, that's great. You can do that. But if you're a bigger haunt that has lots of stuff, make sure that they have that chain of command. Um, because sometimes they say, any news is good, even bad news is good news. But
Right.
if something happens and somebody gets abused at the haunt, whether it's another patron or an actor, or your props get broken, um, that's not good news, and it could negatively impact you in the eyes of the rest of the public, the rest of your patrons, and there goes your clientele.
Bingo. You flushed away all your money because of one silly
Yep.
little thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And your
It's
actors have to
tough.
feel safe too, or they'll stop coming in too. So,
And that has
Exactly.
happened. That
Yep.
has happened.
mhm.
And we've made, you know, changes and restitution to try and get things working, so that that doesn't happen. And our team has come together incredibly well. Like I say, there's the leaders of the acting team, both the roaming and the queue line actors and the people in the photo op area. They're much more aware and paying attention to the patrons that are in there, especially because we serve alcohol, right?
Yeah, you have to be sure. Be proactive. That's the whole thing. If you wait,
Yes.
it's going to be too late if you wait. Yep.
Yeah, and your staff may not like all the safety talks and meetings, but they probably realize that you guys really care to do the safety stuff, so like they probably feel safer just by partaking in the classes and stuff. So
Yeah. And this is all the stuff that I was talking about tonight is just the stuff that just makes sense. If you want to keep everybody happy and everybody safe, you've got to do things proactively, and that's all. And booze, we had a booze thing, and it's tough. I had people that were boozed up a little bit. It's like, yeah, yeah, I don't think you should be in here. So,
But it
yeah.
does make the money.
Uh, yeah, well, what happens is you piss off the husband, then you
yeah,
piss the wife off, and then the other people in the group are like, we're all here because, okay, and we know that guy, and he's in charge of this whole thing, and I forget his name, but I mean, it's just
we've
okay.
had some of that too. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I can
Yeah.
do what I want because I know such and such,
yes,
or yeah,
yeah, and then I didn't talk about don't touch rules. You don't touch the actors, they won't touch you. There are some haunts that we know are all about touching. And this is,
Mm.
I didn't go there because that can be, I've seen bad opinions and good opinions on those kind of haunts. In general, I think most haunts, we've gotten to the point of we don't touch you, you don't touch us. It's hands off. We scare, we spook, and okay, you startled, and that's great. And that's as far as we're going to go. So I don't know about you guys. I mean, how do you feel
yeah.
about that?
We were going to do like a extreme night when we
Hmm.
first started,
Right.
and we had it on our website that we were going to do extreme night. We were going to have like red necklaces, but it
Yeah.
was going to be more of a touch. It wasn't really extreme, but it was going to be like
Right.
maybe touch your hair, or touch you with a
Right.
feather duster, or grab your
Right.
ankle, and so it was going to be light stuff. But our insurance company that we were going to go with, our first, it was like first 1 or 2 years, dropped us because they saw our website and that we were going to do that. And we're in the process of signing back up with them, but they said no, since you're doing that, we can't
Wow.
So I don't know what kind of insurance the touch haunts are getting, or if it's expensive, what the requirements are on that. We opted to just completely stop doing it, you know, um, just for the liability factor. So we're like, I just don't want to deal with it. I know, but there's haunts out there that I would never attend one because they're extreme, and I don't like to be that extreme when I go to an attraction. Um, but I know they are there and they are popular with some people. So
Yep.
to each their own, you know.
It's borderline abusive. I've seen some videos that someone
Like
took. It's like,
like that, like a.
Hmm.
ooh,
Well, we know we have the popular ones that I can. To me, those are like glor or what they call it, torture. One was torture,
torture. Yeah.
almost like a horror torture attraction, kind of putting you to the brink of, like almost drowning you or cutting your hair or shaving your eyebrow or.
Hmm.
I just that's not me. I understand there's people out there that enjoy that kind of stuff, so I'm not gonna say no to that, but I won't. If you invite me to go, no, we ain't going. I am not going.
Right.
But
Thanks, but no. Mhm.
yeah, yeah. Um,
Not
well,
me,
but
not for me.
yeah, that's just too much. I get freaked out in smaller like some attractions that have small tight spaces. Claustrophobic bags are okay, but so I've been in some mazes that I cannot get out of. I've been in there and they're tight spaces. I'm like, all right, I got to do something. You
I've
know,
had ones where the ceiling drops. You're
ceilings
like,
drop
it's like it gets lower and lower the more you go. I'm
lower.
like, holy crap, I'm gonna. But I've been
Yeah,
the butt squeeze. I've been through that a couple of those, and you're like, whoa, where am I?
yeah.
And
Especially if they turn or something, and you're like,
yeah, they're. I've seen a bunch of them for sale too. I don't know if they didn't work out or they're good for a season or two.
We took
Maybe people
our
are like,
we took ours down after COVID and never brought it back up
yeah,
of all because they do collect probably a lot of germs and stuff, and
yeah,
so we just never. But when we did, we had like you said, a door for handicap. We had a exit right there that went in straight into the another hallway that led to the next scene. So that was if people couldn't get around it, so we used the trap door on that. So.
sure.
Well, it's almost 9 o'clock, guys. If you have any more questions for Bill, let us know. We once again, this will be posted to the Facebook group, Hunter's Toolbox Facebook group. It'll be posted there until the next one next month. We'll send out information about that coming up. We're going to provide links to the material that Bill was talking about in the chat room and the messages on Facebook. So you'll find them there. I'll probably put them in the description of the video as well. And then I'll email you guys a link to all the information and where to watch this video. So, Bill, is there anything else you want to add before we close up? You did a good job tonight. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm here to help out. That's what my thing is. I like to share information. At this point in my life, I've seen a few things, so I'll be happy to help anyone.
Where can
And
they
I'm,
find you? Where can they get in contact
um,
with you or?
well, you're going to go to my YouTube channel. That's where one of the links goes, and there I have all the stuff. My contact information is, I think, on my bottom of my bio.
Okay.
They can get a hold of me there. Really, just you can text me at the phone number there. You can email me. I'm always available to you between patients.
Okay. Right.
I don't mind getting and spending time with you guys. And I will send you in just a second. I have the link here now. I will send you the information so you can post it and then share the information with others.
Okay.
Great. Okay.
Sounds
All right.
good.
Daryl, Brian, I appreciate your time and your effort for doing all this. I think you guys are phenomenal.
Well, Bill,
No,
thank you very much. We're looking forward to maybe meeting you at some convention here sometime this 2026. And are you going to Transworld this year?
I've thought about it. I'm on the fence on that because what happens at Transworld, I tend to go, and then after a while, it all kind of looks the same. I'm like, hmm. And then I'll go and give a couple seminars there, and it's like, okay. But the same uh, people are there, so I've already discussed with you the new products that are coming out. So I might skip it, maybe next year, and then see. I don't know. We'll
okay.
see. But
You just need
anyway,
to come hang out with us, man. That's
well, yeah. Well, I'll definitely do that.
okay.
I'll
All
I'll
right.
put
You
a I'll
seem to
put a little
promote
note.
Scarrett badges enough. Maybe we need to hire you.
I think so.
Scare badges
Marketing.
they're great products, great ideas anyway. At least they can go in home and start working on some things. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Good.
we'll just have to figure out in your honor. We'll have to put some with a crow with an eyeball on it, and or penguins with eyeballs. Just not exactly sure what those categories are going to be yet, but we'll work on those. So
Summon our attendee. That's my
Yeah.
badge. Yeah, I'll wear it with pride. Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
it's been a
guys.
wonderful evening with you, Bill, and
Sure.
thank you very much. Thank all of our attendees on our chats, and hope we got everybody's questions answered. I know I've personally replied to a few of the comments in there that necessarily weren't specifically for Bill, but hopefully everything that you'd asked Bill has been answered this evening. And thank you all very much, everyone.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks.
everyone. Thanks, Bill. Have a good evening.
All right, you too. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
This podcast episode sponsored by Scare Badges. Get your Scare Badges at scarebadges.com. Also sponsored by Hunter's Toolbox. Take your haunt to the next level at hunterstoolbox.com. Thank you for listening to Haunt Topic Radio. Please leave a comment wherever you found this podcast. Each comment you leave will help spread the word to other haunters around the world. See you next time.